It is my old friend, Jermey Luchau, the managing partner of Iridium Sports Agency. And Jeremy, man, you have played, I think, pretty much every role there is to play in this sport. But, man, did you ever see yourself being in the position that you're in now? Was this something you were ever working towards?
Not something I was working towards. I just really, when I first started doing MMA, I just kind of just enjoyed the people and, and enjoyed the sport and just made a lot of friends, and it kind of made work real easy. You know what I mean? It's funny that you say that because I always joke with people that I've done everything in MMA minus ring girl.
You have, man. And it's crazy, right? The way this journey started, is it accurate? You were a reporter at the time and you took an amateur fight just to write about it, and that's what triggered all of this?
Yeah, I was a reporter for the Hanford Sentinel newspaper. Christian Printup would often call and looking for sports coverage. I mean, this is 15, 16 years ago. You know what I mean? There wasn't a lot of MMA sports coverage at the time. And one of the days he just was like, "Hey man, I got this idea. We're gonna have you train for a fight. You know what I mean? You could record it in the newspaper." And I was like, "Man, I don't know. I've never done anything remotely close to this. I was a football guy. You know what I mean? Soccer and stuff." And I reached out to my editor, and he was like, "Man, it's a great idea. Like you should do it." So I actually trained for 18 months, and I lost, I think, like 60 pounds, and trained for 18 months at several different gyms. I did like lots of, different types of storylines along the way during that time. And I actually fought professionally my first fight. And then I did it two other times, and then it got beyond the point of it being a story anymore. Like if I'm going to continue doing this, I need to really devote time to it. And I just didn't have the time because I had kids. So I was just like, man, let me move on to something else, you know what I mean, in the sport and see if I could do it. And at that time, Christian asked if I would come work at Tachi in their events department and, kind of specialize in mixed martial arts for them. So that's what I did.
And obviously that's where our paths first crossed with the Tachi Palace fights. I mean, obviously the legendary former home of the WEC, but then you guys were operating events. And by the way, I mean, we broadcasted a few of them when I was still with MMA Junkie at the time, and I
Mhm.
thought we put on a couple of really, really good cards. But man, can you just talk about, because I think there's probably I know there is a generation of people that just don't understand. That's kind of like hallowed ground, man. I mean, there were some amazing fights out there. What was that time of your life like for you?
I mean, honestly, like, I kind of didn't know what was going on, right? Like, it was Christian left the palace, and they were like, "Hey, we need someone to continue doing MMA," and I had only been working there for maybe 8 or 9 months. You know what I mean? And I was still very new to the sport, so I kind of liken it to like I got to kind of learn on the job and learn as a fly as I went. But at the same time, there was lots of tradition there. You know what I mean? I had lots of people's brains that I could pick. You know what I mean? And people were very serious about like, hey, don't mess us up, man. You know what I mean? There's a lot of tradition here. The fights have been going on for a long time here. We expect high level fights here, And so I just did a lot. I just immersed myself in like lots of video, and I started watching video of fights all over the country, and I would just scout guys and try to get guys to come out to Tachi to fight because I wanted the best guys possible there. And it was a little different setup there. It's kind of like you're it wasn't my money, you know what I'm saying, right? It's the casino's money, you know what I'm saying? So it's like it was designed as a marketing tool, not really as a guy. So the budget was different. You know what I mean? We're able to spend money on fights and get guys to come compete there, and it made sense to put super high level UFC quality fights on there. Because we were able to pay guys well enough to do that. So it was a really exciting time, but I also just remember it was, I was a little bit of an asshole back then because you know what I mean. Like I really didn't know what I was doing, and it was like, I think over time I learned a lot of compassion and stuff like that for the guys and managers and fighters and things like that. You know what I mean? So a lot's changed for me since that time frame.
I love it. Hey, we had the best flyweight division in the world for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? And that was one of Christian Printup's babies. You know what I mean? That was something that he really wanted to have there. And it just so happened through that process, I got to meet a lot of those guys, and they were great guys. And I was just like, man, I'm going to continue this. You know what I mean? I'm going to continue try to push for this division.
Pretty incredible, man. It's still, I'll be honest with you, it's still one of my favorite divisions. Now, obviously no longer with that organization, but you still are promoting fights at this point, right? 559 fights. Look, not an easy job, right? The job of promoter and running an organization, at any level. But I mean, is that something that you've done, as a business interest or more of a passion interest?
I do it strictly for the community, and I do it strictly for my staff at this point. I never thought that I would get to the position that I am with Jason at Iridium, to where like you could actually make money as make a living doing this. You know what I mean? So I don't really need to do 559 fights anymore. But the people that have been with me for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, those people do still need it. You know what I mean? So. And I think it's something that the community still needs. There's not a lot of fights in the area anymore. I know that A1 is coming back and doing a show at Tachi, but there hasn't been a lot of professional fights in the area, and it's just something I really love and enjoy developing talent. Like that's like my passion, and so to be able to work with guys at the lowest of levels and say, hey man, getting your blood work on time might be the most important thing you do this fight camp. You know what I mean? Or hey, speaking to this media outlet and being there on time for an interview might be one of the most important things that you do this fight camp. I think there's so much more to mixed martial arts than going to practice every day, eating right, weighing in, and fighting. You know what I mean? And people really just don't know how important all the things outside of that can be to a promoter, which is the guy that's paying you, right? And the guy that wants you on the shows. You know what I mean? So I really try to give my guys at 559 Fights an inside look on what promoters are really wanting, so that they can develop good habits, so that when they do go fight professionally, I always have promoters call me up like, man, this is the most professional guy on the card, man. His medicals were done 3 days after he signed his contract, So those are the types of guys that I try to build and create for not only Iridium, but, moving on to the next level as well.
That's so awesome, man. That's such great insight, man. And that's the truth. It's maybe not the most exciting part of the sport, right? But it's such a valuable part of it. And you talk about developing talent. I mean, you guys have placed over 100 athletes into the UFC, which is pretty phenomenal. And I think you touched on it a lot there, but I guess I kind of wanted to ask you what I guess your mindset is, your approach. Like, how do you guide? Because, boy, I think there's a big difference between just, getting a guy fights and finding them a place to compete versus actually managing somebody's career and developing them, right? There's a huge difference there. So I guess, you touched on some of the important things there, but what is kind of your mindset, your philosophy, and how you guide somebody from regional level to, I'm going to get them into the UFC or one of the other major organizations?
Right. I think the special thing about Jason and I when we came together was that there were so many high-level managers at the time that were dealing with the top of the top, the cream of the crop guys, right? So to find where our value was and where we could, kind of carve out our little spot in the MMA world was really focusing on developing talent at the regional level. And to Jason's credit, it was kind of his vision at the time and just something I was passionate about. We went all in on that. You know what I mean? And I think going all in on, hey, we're not going to chase after the 10-1 guys. We're going to try to get with this 1-0 kid or, this 2-0 kid or whatever the case may be. We went all in on that. And so really it was about developing relationships, right? Starting to work with guys when they're young, when they actually need the help. I mean, a guy doesn't really need that much help getting into the UFC when he's 10-0. A guy needs help when he's 1-0. You know what I mean? So really at that time, and even to this day, you know what I mean? Our focus is on, hey, let's find the high quality characters, guys that are willing to invest in getting medicals done on time, guys that are willing to invest in learning how to speak to the media, working on their social media skills, all these other aspects outside of fighting, and we've done a good job. And I think that's why we have over 100 guys, right? Because we invested in those guys, and those are the guys that came up with us. You know what I mean? There's a lot of agencies out there that are they're fighting agencies, right? They put your name on an email list, you know what I'm saying? And that's great if that's what works for you, you know what I mean? But for some athletes, that doesn't work for them. You know what I mean? They need some attention. They need someone saying, hey man, this is the reason why we're picking these fights for you, or why we think you should take less money to fight this guy versus taking more money to fight that guy. And be able to give those guys the explanations. I think there's so many guys right now, so many agencies out there that don't really give those explanations to guys because they don't have the time. And fortunately for Jason and I, this is all we do. You know what I mean? We're not selling cars on the side or doing real estate or, whatever the case may be. So I have time to speak to 40, 50 guys a day and tell them why, hey, this is why we're doing this and why we're making these moves.
That's so awesome, man. And I know that you're also, like you said, you're always looking for talent that you can develop. So you're looking at guys that aren't even in mixed martial arts yet, right? I mean, you're looking at collegiate wrestling. And, oh, by the way, just so I can make myself feel old, your son is wrestling in college right now. Am I accurate with that? Like,
yeah,
I remember this man in like elementary school, and now it's insane.
Right. Yeah, I think I always have been looking at collegiate wrestling and looking for athletes over there. But it was hard to develop relationships with those guys because, being in college, they couldn't really talk to us too much. You know what I mean? There wasn't a lot we could do for them. And then from there, they were going on and pursuing their Olympic dreams and stuff like that. So now with the opening of all these NIL deals, we're able to reach these guys at an earlier stage in their career, develop a relationship with them, offer protection in a way too, because some of these guys don't know what they're signing, right? They're signing deals and signing their image and likeness away forever, you know what I mean, for a $50 deal, and they have no idea what they're signing. So being able to step in, give these guys that protection now, and start their crossover with mixed martial arts so much earlier, right? We're doing camp series now where we're going to have our athletes do summer camps over the years, but we're putting them in strategic places where now our high-end wrestling guys are going to be able to cross-train at certain mixed martial arts gyms, you know what I mean? To see, hey, this is something that I want to pursue, or this is not something that I want to pursue, you know what I mean? But just giving a lot of those guys those opportunities to see that and start feeling it at an early age, getting some of that cross-training early on. But most importantly, in anything, developing a relationship. This is the relationship business, So we're developing relationships with top-tier athletes now, coming right out of high school, and we're able to help these guys and get them to the next level in the sport.
It's so awesome to see. And Jermey, you tell me, because I deal with more of the athletes than the coaches, but there was a day you talk about, early days, the collegiate wrestling programs, like the coaches, they shunned mixed martial arts, right? They didn't want to talk about it. It seems to me now, obviously I was honored to be a part of a collegiate wrestling event on UFC Fight Pass and get to talk to. It seems to me now that the wrestling community is understanding, like, hey, those MMA guys, it's not a bad place. It's not the enemy. Like, we don't need to stay away from them. In fact, this is a hell of an option for our athletes because elite level wrestlers are in a great starting position. So from your point of view, does it seem like the community is really, embracing mixed martial arts a lot more now?
So I think early on where the trouble might have been a little bit is that the U.S. was really pushing to become a powerhouse at the Olympic level, right? And now we've become one of those powerhouses. So now that conversation is, hey, we're not going to put all our eggs in the Olympic basket. Now we have these guys that are going to be the mainstays there, right? The Jordan Burroughs, the Dave Taylors, those guys, those are mainstays, right? So now those guys that are 5 and 6 on the ladder, let's push those guys towards MMA now. And I think we're starting to be that second tier where coaches are wanting to send their guys that want to do that stuff, So I feel like that's kind of what that transition has been, And now with the NIL deals, being able to talk to coaches and say, hey, we aren't scumbags that are just trying to look as soon as your guy graduates, take him out of your program, you know what I mean? Because a lot of these guys rely on those guys that graduate from the program to stay there, train with their team for the Olympics and things like that. But what it does is it helps their program kind of continue to have high level athletes in the program that makes their other guys better, And I don't think we're not looking to take take guys away from wrestling. We want to give them a place once they're finished wrestling that they're going to be able to come to. But we've built a relationship during that time frame.
That's awesome, man. Well, Jeremy, dude, I'm so happy to see your continued success, man, and the way people talk about you behind the scenes, man. I know you don't always get to hear that, but much respected, man. A lot of love for what you do out there. And I guess the last thing I would ask you is, I know how many athletes you guys represent. I know how much you guys do. I mean, if there's an up and coming fighter that says, "Hey, that seems like the right place for me," like, can they reach out to you, or are you like too busy? Is it like, dude, I ain't got time to talk to you right now? Like, what can somebody do?
I'm never too busy to have a conversation with somebody, especially an athlete that's looking to get to the next level, whether they sign with me or not. There's plenty of guys that never signed, and I continue to help them to this day because I just really love seeing guys get to the next level. Like that is I don't do any drugs, I don't drink, I don't do anything else. That's my high. You know what I mean? Like, man, watching a guy like Alex Perez from fight 0 all the way to fighting for a world title, the Ricky Simone's fight 0 all the way to being a top 10 type guy. You know what I mean? So I love those types of things, man. So any guys that are interested, I'm down to hear it.
I love it, man. And boy, I tell you, I love, calling guys fights at the regional level and then seeing chase their passion on up to the top. I mean, it's so cool to see people living their dream and chasing it. Then, I mean, you didn't even know you had this dream, Jeremy. And then through a bizarre turn of events, here you are at MMA Life.
Yeah. And it's, again, I always preach to people, man, this is the relationship business. And when you form those relationships with people, it makes going to those events that much sweeter. You know what I mean? I never have a day where I'm like, man, I don't want to get out of bed and do this. I'm always, boom, out of bed, ready to go on the computer, searching, watching, trying to build careers and stuff like that. So, those are the types of people you want in your corner, obviously, right? Because they love and care about you. You know what I mean? If you're not in the back shedding tears with your guys after they lose, then you're not in this sport for the right reasons, I believe.
That's so well said. Awesome. Jeremy, man, congrats on everything and congrats on what's still to come. You guys are building an amazing organization over there at Iridium, and just friend to friend, man to man, dude. I'm happy to see what you've been able to accomplish and wish you nothing but the best moving forward.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.